Emily Brooks had always believed in the power of love, that it could weather any storm if nurtured with patience and care. She remembered vividly the day she met David during their last year at NYU. She was studying economics, and he was engrossed in computer science. Their connection had been instant, a spark that neither of them expected but both secretly hoped for. They spent countless nights dreaming aloud about the future, a small home filled with laughter, careers that would give them stability, and a life built on trust and understanding. After graduation, they married young with nothing but hope and determination in their pockets. Their apartment was tiny, the rent eating up most of their combined paychecks, but Emily didn't mind. What mattered was that they were together. David worked long hours climbing the ladder in a healthcare technology company, while Emily took a job in finance, juggling numbers and spreadsheets to help keep them afloat. They counted every dollar, sacrificed little luxuries, and promised each other it was all temporary, a stepping stone to something better. But over time, things began to shift. David, once warm and attentive, grew quiet and distracted. His laughter faded, replaced by silence. When Emily tried to talk, he would brush her off with vague excuses: stress, work deadlines, exhaustion. She wanted to believe him. She clung to the hope that this was just a rough patch, that the man she loved was still there beneath the surface. One morning, Emily woke early with a flutter of determination. She wanted to remind David of the life they once dreamed of, to bring a little light into his heavy days. She made his favorite breakfast, crispy hash browns and strong black coffee just the way he liked it. She even lit a candle, something she hadn't done in years. When David shuffled into the kitchen, phone in hand and eyes clouded with fatigue, she smiled and said, "Morning, babe. Look what I made." He paused in the doorway, glanced at the food, and murmured, "Smells good." He kissed her cheek, but it was brief and distant, lacking the warmth she remembered. As he disappeared down the hallway toward the bathroom, Emily stood still, heart sinking with a growing unease she couldn't explain. Throughout the morning, that feeling gnawed at her. David's behavior was different, too different. When he left for work, Emily noticed the blazer he grabbed wasn't his usual one for casual days. He spritzed on cologne, which was unusual for a regular workday. Something was off. Unable to resist, she grabbed her purse and followed him. Her footsteps echoed softly as she trailed him to a hospital not far from their apartment. From a distance, she saw him enter a room, and her world cracked open. Inside, her husband sat close to a woman she had never met before. They were laughing quietly, sharing a closeness that shattered the trust Emily had held onto for so long. It wasn't just the betrayal that hurt. It was the way it happened, so openly, so without regret. Emily felt the cold rush of disbelief and pain, but she stayed silent, watching, heart breaking in slow motion. The woman was laughing cruelly, whispering, "She's as dumb as a brick. Let's leave her with nothing." The words hit Emily like a blow she never saw coming. That moment marked the end of her innocence and the beginning of a journey she never expected to take. A journey of loss, resilience, and ultimately, rebirth. What followed would test everything Emily believed about love and life, forcing her to rebuild from the ashes of betrayal. She didn't know it yet, but this moment was the spark that would ignite her strength, the catalyst for a transformation that would inspire more than just herself. It was a painful awakening, but also the start of a powerful comeback. Emily took a deep breath, steadying herself. She knew the path ahead would be hard, lonely even, but she promised herself one thing: she would not be defined by their cruelty or left with nothing. She would rise, and she would become someone no one saw coming. The days after that painful discovery felt like living in a fog. Emily moved through her routines as if in a dream, her mind trapped between disbelief and the sharp sting of betrayal. The woman's cruel words echoed relentlessly in her head, but beneath the pain, a small voice inside her refused to be silenced. It whispered that she was more than what they said, that this was not the end of her story. David didn't know she had seen him. She made sure of that. Instead of confronting him immediately, Emily chose silence. a silence that came from a place of gathering strength rather than weakness. She watched, waiting for the moment she could find her footing, for the chance to decide what to do next on her own terms. She started by retreating into herself, spending long nights alone with her thoughts. She sifted through memories of their years together, both the good and the bad. Had she missed signs? Were there cracks beneath the surface she ignored? But more than anything, she realized she had to stop blaming herself. The fault wasn't hers. It never had been. Friends noticed her withdrawal and reached out, but Emily wasn't ready to share. She feared their pity, their questions, and most of all, the vulnerability that came with opening up. So she buried her pain deep and channeled her energy into work. Finance had always been her sanctuary, a place where numbers made sense and mistakes had clear solutions. It was steady, predictable, and for the first time in weeks, it gave her a sliver of control. Slowly, she started to rebuild small routines, morning walks through the park, journaling thoughts she couldn't say aloud, reading books about resilience and personal growth. Each day she collected tiny pieces of herself she thought lost forever. The woman they called dumb was quietly becoming someone else entirely, someone fierce, determined, and unwilling to be defined by cruelty. One afternoon, Emily found herself standing outside the same hospital where she had seen David. The building looked cold and indifferent, but inside, she knew her life had changed forever. She imagined the conversations that must have happened within those walls, the plans made without her, the laughter that wasn't meant for her ears. But she didn't let bitterness take root. Instead, she turned away with resolve. That place, those people, their judgments, they didn't own her future. As weeks passed, Emily began to open up to a few close friends. She didn't share everything, not yet, but enough to feel less alone. Their support was a balm, reminding her that love and kindness still existed outside the walls of betrayal. One night, as she sat by her window, pen in hand and a fresh journal before her, she wrote, "I am not what they say. I am not their mistakes or their cruelty. I am more. I will be more." The words filled her with a quiet fire. It was the moment she decided to stop running from pain and start using it to fuel her growth. Emily's journey was far from over. The road ahead would demand courage she didn't yet know she had, and strength she had yet to uncover. But for the first time since that terrible night, she felt a spark of hope. She would rebuild her life, not by clinging to the past, but by creating a future only she could define. And in that hope lay the beginning of something extraordinary. Emily's days began to shift from mere survival to quiet determination. She realized that healing wasn't about forgetting the pain, but about finding purpose beyond it. With each morning's light, she felt a growing strength, as if the betrayal had cracked open something inside her, allowing resilience to seep. In her job at the finance firm became more than a paycheck. It turned into a platform for rebuilding her confidence. Emily threw herself into projects with a renewed sense of focus, impressing colleagues who had barely noticed her before. She began taking online courses to sharpen her skills, fueled by a desire to prove not just to others but to herself that she was capable of greatness. Despite the progress, loneliness shadowed her. Evenings were the hardest, a time when silence filled the apartment and memories crowded her mind. But instead of drowning in sorrow, Emily started volunteering at a local community center. Helping others who faced struggles gave her a renewed sense of connection and purpose. It reminded her that pain was universal, but so was hope. One afternoon, while organizing a fundraiser for families in need, Emily met Grace, a woman whose story was as powerful as her smile. Grace had endured hardship but emerged as a pillar of strength in her community. Their friendship blossomed quickly. Grace became Emily's confidant, offering wisdom born from experience and an unwavering belief in Emily's potential. Grace encouraged Emily to dream again, to imagine a future where she wasn't defined by betrayal but by her courage to rise above it. With Grace's support, Emily took the bold step of enrolling in a leadership program designed for women looking to reclaim their power. It was intimidating, stepping into a room full of strangers, but Emily felt a fierce pride for showing up. Eriki. The program, she met women from all walks of life, each carrying their own stories of pain and triumph. Their shared experiences created a sisterhood that lifted Emily higher. She learned new skills, practiced public speaking, and discovered the importance of owning her story. For the first time in years, she felt seen and heard. Meanwhile, David's absence from her life became a quiet relief. He reached out sporadically, but Emily no longer felt the need to respond. The man who had once been her whole world was now a chapter she was closing, not revisiting. She understood that forgiveness would come one day, but only when it was for her peace, not his convenience. Months passed and Emily's transformation became undeniable. She was no longer the woman they thought of as dumb or weak. She was a force of resilience, a beacon of hope to those who had faced darkness. Her story began to ripple through her community, inspiring others to believe in second chances and the power of self-worth. One evening, standing on the stage at the community center's annual event, Emily shared her journey, the heartbreak, the struggle, and the unwavering determination to rise. Her voice trembled with emotion but carried a strength that captivated everyone in the room. When she finished, the applause was not just for her story, but for the hope she ignited in others. As she looked out at the faces illuminated by warm light, Emily felt a deep sense of gratitude. The pain she endured had been the soil from which her courage grew. She was no longer the person they left behind. She was a new beginning, proof that even when everything seems lost, the human spirit has an incredible capacity to heal, grow, and inspire. Emily knew this was just the beginning of her story. There would be challenges ahead, but she was ready, because now she carried within her a truth stronger than any betrayal. Her worth was hers to claim, forever untouchable by anyone else's words or actions. Emily's newfound strength became a beacon not just for herself, but for those around her. The more she embraced her journey, the more she realized that healing was not a solitary path. It was a journey shared through connections, kindness, and the courage to be vulnerable. One crisp autumn morning, Emily received an unexpected invitation to speak at a local university's seminar on resilience and overcoming adversity. Nervous but excited, she accepted. The thought of standing in front of young students sharing her story, the story of betrayal, pain, and ultimate growth, filled her with both apprehension and purpose. As she prepared, Emily reflected on how far she had come. The woman who once sat silently in her apartment, overwhelmed by heartbreak, was now preparing to inspire others. She practiced her speech late into the night, crafting each word carefully. This was more than a talk. It was a declaration that no matter what life throws, hope and courage can light the way forward. On the day of the seminar, Emily walked into the auditorium and felt a rush of adrenaline. Faces of young men and women looked back at her, curious and attentive. She began by recounting her early dreams, the love she thought would last forever and the moment everything shattered. But then she shifted, her voice steady and strong, to the story of her rebirth, how she chose not to be defined by others' cruelty, but by her own determination. The room was silent, hanging on every word. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. Students approached her afterward, sharing their own struggles and thanking her for her honesty. Emily realized then that her pain had transformed into power, a power to inspire, to heal, and to ignite change. Buoyed by this experience, Emily began volunteering as a mentor for young women facing challenges, especially those dealing with broken relationships and self-doubt. She knew firsthand how isolating pain could be, and she wanted to be the light that guided others through their darkest times. At the same time, Emily started exploring new career opportunities. She applied for a position at a nonprofit organization focused on women's empowerment. The role was a perfect fit, allowing her to combine her finance background with her passion for helping others rebuild their lives. The interview process was rigorous, but Emily's authenticity and drive shone through. She was offered the job. In her new role, Emily found fulfillment beyond numbers and reports. She worked alongside women from diverse backgrounds, helping them access resources, develop skills, and rediscover their confidence. Each success story she witnessed was a reminder of her own journey and the resilience of the human spirit. One evening, as she sat with Grace over tea, they talked about the unexpected turns life had taken. Grace smiled warmly and said, "You've become someone many look up to, Emily. Your story isn't just about what happened to you. It's about what you chose to do next." Emily nodded, feeling a profound sense of peace. The past was still there, a part of her story, but it no longer held power over her. She was building something new, a life filled with purpose, connection, and hope. Her journey wasn't over, but Emily now understood that true strength came from embracing every part of her experience, the pain, the healing, and the growth. And in that embrace, she found freedom. With each passing day, Emily's heart grew lighter, her spirit brighter. She was no longer defined by betrayal or loss, but by the courageous woman she had become. The future stretched out before her, full of promise and possibility, waiting for her to step boldly into it. Emily's life had transformed in ways she never imagined possible. What once felt like an insurmountable mountain now seemed like a series of steps, each one taken with intention and courage. The pain of betrayal was still there, but it no longer controlled her story. Instead, it fueled her purpose. Her work at the nonprofit grew, and with it, her impact. Emily found herself speaking at events, sharing not only her journey but also the stories of the women she helped. Each narrative was a testament to resilience, to the human capacity to rise after falling. She saw in those women the same strength she had discovered within herself, a strength born from adversity and nurtured by hope. One afternoon, Emily received a message that surprised her. It was from David. The words were simple, almost hesitant. "Can we talk?" For a moment, old emotions stirred, confusion, anger, sadness. But Emily had learned the value of clarity and boundaries. She paused, considering what this meant, what she wanted. Instead of responding immediately, she took time to reflect on what she had built. A life filled with meaning, friendships rooted in honesty, and a future not dictated by the past. When she finally replied, she wrote with calm resolve, "I'm no longer the person I was. If we are to speak, it must be with respect and honesty." Their conversation was difficult but necessary. David expressed regret, not just for the betrayal, but for the silence and distance that followed. Emily listened, acknowledging her own growth and the lessons she had learned. Forgiveness, she realized, was not about erasing pain, but about freeing herself from its hold. As weeks turned to months, Emily focused on strengthening her own foundation. She began writing a blog to share her experiences and the lessons of resilience she had gathered. Her words resonated with many, sparking conversations about self-worth, healing, and empowerment. Her blog became a space where stories like hers could be told, stories of quiet courage and unyielding hope. Readers from around the world connected with her, finding in her journey the encouragement to face their own struggles. Meanwhile, Emily's personal life blossomed in unexpected ways. She formed deep friendships that felt like chosen family. She explored new hobbies, painting, hiking, even learning to play the piano. Each new experience was a celebration of her reclaimed joy. One day, while organizing a community event, Emily met Marcus, a gentle soul who shared her passion for helping others. Their friendship grew slowly, built on trust and mutual respect. Marcus admired Emily's strength and kindness, and Emily found in him a companion who valued her for all that she was. Their relationship wasn't rushed. It was a quiet dance of discovery and understanding. Emily was no longer searching for love to fill a void, but sharing it from a place of wholeness. With Marcus, she felt seen and appreciated, not for who she had been, but for who she was becoming. Through all this, Emily never forgot the lessons of her past. The betrayal she endured became a chapter, not the whole story. It was a reminder that life could break you but also build you anew, stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Emily's journey was a testament to the power of resilience and the human spirit's capacity to transform pain into purpose. She had learned that true strength lies not in never falling, but in rising every time you do, and rising with grace, courage, and hope. ChatGPT said, Emily stood at a crossroads she never imagined reaching when the storm first hit her life. The woman who had once felt broken and abandoned was now a beacon of strength and hope, not just for herself, but for everyone who heard her story. The journey had been long, winding through valleys of doubt and mountains of healing, but every step had led her closer to a truth she now lived by. Her worth was never defined by others, only by herself. Her days were filled with purpose and connection. The nonprofit she helped grow was thriving, providing resources and encouragement to women rebuilding their lives after hardships. Emily's leadership and authenticity inspired countless others, turning her personal pain into a powerful movement for change. She often marveled at how her broken pieces had been woven into a tapestry of resilience that extended far beyond her own life. One evening, after a successful fundraiser that brought together hundreds of supporters, Emily sat quietly in the glow of the city lights. Her phone buzzed with a message from Marcus, a gentle reminder that she was not alone in this journey. Their relationship had deepened into a partnership based on trust, respect, and a shared commitment to growth. With him, Emily felt the joy of companionship without fear or expectation, just genuine connection. Yet, even in this place of peace, Emily knew life would continue to present challenges. She embraced that reality, understanding that true strength wasn't about avoiding pain, but about facing it head-on and choosing to rise anyway. Her past no longer haunted her. It had become a foundation on which she built her future. As Emily prepared to speak at a national conference on women's empowerment, she reflected on the path that brought her here. From the heartbreak of betrayal to the triumph of self-discovery, she remembered the nights of tears, the moments of doubt, and the fierce determination that kept her moving forward. Sharing her story had become a way to heal not only herself, but also others who felt lost in their own struggles. Standing before a packed auditorium, Emily spoke with a voice steady and clear, her words weaving a narrative of courage, hope, and transformation. She urged everyone to believe in their own strength, to recognize that adversity could be a powerful catalyst for growth. The applause that followed was not just for her, but for the spirit of resilience she embodied. Backstage, surrounded by women who approached her with tears and gratitude, Emily felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Her journey had touched lives in ways she never anticipated, creating ripples of change far beyond what she had imagined. She realized that healing was not a destination, but a continuous journey, one she was honored to walk alongside others. Quiet moments, Emily still thought about David, the man who had once shared her dreams and then shattered them. But those thoughts no longer held pain or bitterness. Instead, they reminded her of how far she had come and how much she had grown. Forgiveness had come, not for his sake, but for her own freedom. Emily's story was a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome, rebuild, and thrive. It was a reminder that even when life breaks you, it can also build you stronger than before. She was living proof that hope, courage, and love, starting with self-love, could transform the darkest chapters into the most inspiring beginnings. As she looked ahead, Emily knew that her story was far from over. There would be new challenges, new victories, and countless opportunities to make a difference. But now she faced the future with open arms and an unshakable belief in herself. Because the woman they once underestimated was now unstoppable.